What's up, Giga fam? I got you guys with the best mid to long range primaries in all of Black Ops 6. I know a lot of you are deep into the camo grind, but you know what? People are starting to finish it. People are running wagers. People are getting into competitive. There's people that are taking the camo grind slow, maybe want to play for their very first nuke, or just want optimal builds for some of these while they're grinding their camos. Maybe knock out the powerful stuff first because they're bound to nerf it and then buff other things, and you can get around to those. You know, if you're not in that content creator feeding frenzy of having to get the mastery camo done in the first week, then this video is for you. Tomorrow, Nuketown drops. I am going to be trying to drop the first nuke in the world on our beloved Nuketown map. So I really wanted to know what is the strongest primary in the game. Luckily, TrueGameData.com has us with the data mined weapon stats, TTKs, that's time to kill. So without further ado, let's get into a little data analysis, and then we will pull from that our top 5, also taking into account recoil, and I will give you the builds for those bad boys. Let's do it. So whether we sort this TTK chart by chest or combination shots, the guns follow a similar trend, which shows they do have consistent TTKs. Bravo to Treyarch for good balancing, and we can kind of notice trends a little bit better over on the DPS chart. It just kind of shows gaps in the weapons a little better. There wasn't really any outliers on TTK versus DPS that I noticed, so I am happy to analyze the DPS chart to kind of show some of this stuff off. What we'll notice right off the rip, the LMGs, PU-21, XMG, and the GP have way faster TTK and way better damage rangers than the ARs, which makes sense, right? They're really slow, really bulky, terrible reload, which basically makes them unusable in a pub match, plus they are GA'd out of competitive anyway. However, I will note there is one that we can convert basically into an AR via one of the mag attachments, making it obscenely broken. More on that later. Let's remove those for now. We know they have roughly the same TTK. Their damage range is insane, past any range that you would ever fire that thing in a multiplayer map is the max damage range. So you are getting that lightning fast TTK basically out to infinity in a multiplayer setting, right? Whereas some of these ARs have fall offs as early as like less than 5 meters. Kind of gnarly stuff. The AS Val is another outlier, but I will say the recoil and just sort of the way it functions, it's really more comparable to like an SMG. But then, as we will discuss when I do an SMG video like this, they just have way better handling. So for me, the AS Val just kind of falls out of like a meta picture. It's just too much of a tweener. Still really good though if you like it and you really like to more engage in like that mid-range. The AS Val can be pretty nasty, but let's take that one out. Next thing we're going to notice is that the GPR has horrendous TTKs. Absolutely awful. Out of the meta, no-brainer. The other 4 have very, very similar TTKs, and they're all kind of awesome in their own right. What I will say is that there are a couple outliers. The AK-74 has a little bit better TTK than the other ones. The XM4 has slightly better TTK than the other ones. But a couple interesting trends emerge. The Model L has some of the best recoil I've seen in COD. It is just beautiful recoil, and I think that's why people are gravitating to it. And then something really interesting about the aims. So typically on rapid fire, you get like a 5 or 6% bump to fire rate, and it sort of gouges your recoil, which makes it arguably worth using depending on your playstyle. But for a lot of guns, it's going to be pretty bad. Plus, I tend to think it's going to get GA'd from competitive. Regardless, though, you guys are looking for builds in public matches, and on the aims, the rapid fire is sort of broken. hardly hurts your recoil, right? A 2% debuff to vertical recoil isn't even noticeable. Yeah, you get hit with a 10% range nerf, but you more than make up for that with an 11% fire rate bump. So it's a bit of an outlier. The rapid fire attachment is essentially broken on the aims, which greatly boosts its viability once you get this attachment unlocked. Before we get into the builds, if you guys are new around here, consider subbing. Would love to have you in the Giga fam. Likes, comments, shares, all that stuff. Greatly appreciated. I do live stream daily over on Twitch where I'm partnered, and just started multi-streaming to YouTube. So if this is your preferred platform, I got you. Would love to see some of you guys over in there in the live. Would love your feedback as well. All right, let's get it. This is number 5, the XM4. This thing is just really versatile, well-rounded, a little bit faster TTKs than some of the other beams. I like to kit it a little bit more aggressively than my typical AR. I throw the quick draw grip on there just because it really just rips like mid-range. Awesome option. I do like to run the long barrel on the ARs just to bump up that range. I run suppressor. I'm a pub stomper, nuke grinder. So this is kind of more that nuke grinder build. If you are just purely focused on this gun, then obviously you would throw the gunfighter on, and with those extra attachments, I would probably go recoil springs, maybe a slightly extended magazine, don't want to hurt the stats too much, and then go combat stock. If you are in competitive, then you probably will have to drop the suppressor and then just throw the ported compensator on there. Number 4, we got the AK-74. Rapid fire doesn't seem to hurt the recoil too much, so definitely recommend throwing that on there. I did like the feel of the ported compensator significantly more than a suppressor on this thing. I think the first shot's recoil really helps it laser beam. Long barrel once again. I think bullet velocity might be a little overvalued in multiplayer, so we just like to extend those ranges as much as possible. If you want a little extra bullet velocity, better hit reg, I would just recommend throwing the reinforced barrel on there. Can't go wrong with that. If you do end up going with the gunfighter perk, just throw extended mag, quick draw, and combat stock on there. If you're in competitive, you're going to have to drop the rapid fire for recoil springs. Coming in at number 3, we got the Ames 85. As we previously discussed and showed in the data analysis, rapid fire is a busted attachment for this gun, which vaults its viability once you unlock that attachment. If you throw gunfighter on there, I would recommend extended mag, quick draw, and combat stock just to further boost this thing's power. If you are in competitive, you're going to have to drop suppressor for a ported compensator and rapid fire for the recoil springs. Although, personally, if you aren't running that rapid fire, I think there are better options on this list. At number 2, we got the Model L. This might be my personal favorite and is definitely making waves. Best recoil in the game, hands down, especially with this build. I like to just further lean into that laser beam recoil, aim for the head, map people, zap them. It is just awesome. That's why I go recoil springs. You could definitely run the rapid fire, but I would rather just lean into that laser beam recoil type playstyle. Once again, if we throw gunfighter on there, we just add the extended mag 1, the quick draw grip, and the combat stock. If you are going into competitive, probably going to have to drop the suppressor for ported compensator. The number 1 long-range primary in Black Ops 6 is none other than the PU-21 with the Fast Mag 1 attachment. This thing is obscenely broken. It is basically an AR on steroids with a significantly better damage output and obscene range. This thing is going to kill faster than most SMG's max damage range, all the way out to 50 plus meters, which is just nutty. You will fry people. Yes, the recoil isn't quite as good as the models, but even if you miss a couple shots, you're still going to kill faster than the model. So this thing is just broken, beyond broken. This build right here is really all you need. There's no need for gunfighter because I promise you, range is a useless stat on this gun because it already has a longer max damage range than any engagement range you will find in multiplayer. And with this build, we get the recoil as tight as possible. We stay off the minimap, and we get a AR reload on a broken TTK LMG. Just disgusting stuff. If you insist on running Gunfighter, I recommend throwing the gain twist barrel on because range is a useless stat for this gun in particular, so we might as well at least just push the bullet velocity to obscene levels and get like really snappy hit registration. We got the quick draw grip to increase the handling a little bit, and the combat stock just makes it a little bit more usable in gunfights. You can ego chow everything. No point making competitive build for this thing because it will be GA'd from anything competitive. When rank drops, you will not be able to use this thing, I promise. But in the meantime, if you are trying to drop your first nuke, or if you're a nuke grinder, this is your absolute best option. Like I said, tomorrow I'll be going for world first nuke on Nuketown, and you can bet your bottom dollar this thing is going to be in my hands. Insane. Hope you guys enjoyed this content. Let me know down in the comments if you want me to cover SMGs similarly, or if you have any feedback of how I can like better organize this content. I'm still learning, man. I'm trying to improve every day on this platform. Thank you guys so much for watching. Much love.